During an interview on CBS's Face the Nation on Sunday, former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, who, by the way, might be running as a candidate for 2016, talked about how his brother, George W. Bush, helped keep America safe.
Let me ask you, I've talked to your brother a couple of times over the last year, and he's very candid. He says one of the problems that you're going to have is him. And he says you cannot let the campaign become about him.
Right.
Do you think he's your main challenge?
No, I don't. This is hard for me, to be honest with you. I have to do the Heisman on my brother that I love. You know, this is not something I'm comfortable doing. But I'm my own person. My brother's not going to be a problem at all. I seek out his advice. I love him dearly. I've learned from his successes and his mistakes.
That's an interesting question. What do you think you learned from him? Successes and mistakes.
Well, the successes clearly are protecting the homeland. We were under attack, and he unified the country, and he showed dogged determination, and he kept us safe.
From what? What exactly did George W. Bush keep us safe from? Remember, George W. Bush created ISIS. You know, through his reckless invasion, also created trillions of dollars. He protected us from a surplus, a budget surplus. He didn't protect us from terrorists. Are you serious? That's ridiculous. And look, one more thing, too. One thing about this. Stop calling it the Homeland. Like, what the hell, man? That is one of the more Orwellian terms that I've heard. Quit calling it the Homeland. Seriously. I don't know why that bothers me, but it really bothers me when he does that. So, George W. Bush, right? Or I'm sorry, Jeb Bush, is saying, look yeah, I value my brother's advice and everything. You value the guy who thought that Gog and Magog were going to come out of Iraq. And that's why you invaded. That you were on a mission from God to go and liberate Iraq. Where God was like, hey, George, I need you to go free the people of Iraq. Okay, God, sure thing. Are you sure it was God or maybe Dick Cheney whispering in your ear? You know, or some of the oil executives that were going to get massively rich. Or even some of the defense contractors that were going to get massively rich off of war with Iraq. That's the guy you're going to trust, who thinks that God was talking to him. I don't know why people keep calling Jeb Bush the presumptive Republican nominee. He's the only people that like Jeb Bush is the corporate whore media. Those are the only people that are calling him a front runner. He is not a front runner, and it's shit like this is why. People don't like Jeb Bush, and they don't like George W. Bush either. Because all that they can look at and see is the legacy of George W. Bush and the disaster that was the Iraq War